Welcome to Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and joining us this evening is Stormy Taylor from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Johnson County. That's coming up right now on Pause. And welcome back to Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and we're happy to welcome once again a good friend of the program here, Stormy Taylor from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Johnson County. Welcome,
Wonderful.
Stormy.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
So let's talk a little bit. I know folks that are watching this, probably 99% of them know what Big Brothers Big Sisters does, but for the 1% that doesn't, let's talk a little bit about what the organization does.
Sure. We are a youth mentoring program, and our sole purpose is to help kids in the community. We reach out to families who are in need, and that word need kind of strikes a nerve with some people, but it's really kids who are looking to have a mentor, someone who needs someone to talk to, hang out with, and then we match them up with a volunteer for the sole purpose of building a friendship.
In the process, when you think about it, I mean, first, obviously, as you say, there's a need in terms of a mentor.
Right.
So typically, what does a family need to do if they have an interest in working with Big Brothers Big Sisters? Sure,
we have a few requirements. Our families have to be a single parent or non-traditional home, and when we say non-traditional, it can be a aunt or uncle or grandparent. We have a number of grandparents who are raising their grandchildren these days. That could be foster care. It could be where it's a deployed parent. And in these situations, they just need to live in Johnson County. We serve the entire county, and then be between 7 and 14. And in that case, they would just contact our office, or they can contact our school. We work with all the schools real close, and so they can get us in touch. And then we simply take the process from there. And we'll come, and Tanisha, who works with me, she does a great job with our families. She'll come and she'll do a home visit with the family. And it's a time for them to visit about things that are going on in the child's life. Maybe they need help with friends. Maybe it's help with talking about problems that are in their life. Maybe they just simply need someone to hang out with. And then we'll take it from there and look for that correct volunteer.
And I know you and I have talked about this off the air before. It's not necessarily that the child has any kind of issues or anything. It
Right.
might simply be somebody who's in a position where it would be useful to have a mentor.
Absolutely, and sometimes that's what, people do think it has to be a child who has been referred to juvenile services, or it has to be a low-income family, and it doesn't. It can be, just I don't know if there is such thing as a normal kid. I don't know that I fell in that range, but just a child who fits our requirements, but looking for a parent looking for someone to encourage them. And so, like, for example, we might have a mom who's raising her son. She's not really into fishing or not really into guy things, and so this is someone that can help that child and maybe encourage the things mom's encouraging: going to school, being nice to your brothers or sisters, or making your bed, whatever it might be. So
always the common problems,
I know, right?
Just go to school, clean your room,
right.
don't
It's
eat
hard to be a
eat
kid.
what we have, and leave it at that. It's
That's
pretty
right.
easy. Well, so now on the other side of the coin, of course, the question is always, what does it take to be a good big brother or big sister? What do you look for as an organization, and what seems to really click with kids?
Yeah, the commitment. Commitment is the biggest thing. Anybody can be a big brother or a big sister, or we have big couples. Some people think that they have to be extraordinary, or they have to be able to spend tons of money on a child, and that's not it at all. It really is just being caring and committed. We ask that you make a commitment to see a child once a week, average of 2 to 4 hours. So it's really just kind of cutting out a TV show or maybe 2. And not that you want to hear that, but
well, you can
really,
still watch PBS.
You can still watch PBS. That's
yeah,
right.
Everything's
you can do
good.
that. But just really taking that time to be committed to the child and spending that time with them. We ask for a 1-year commitment, and we understand that sometimes you're going to go on vacation, or maybe if you're a student, you're going to go back and you're going to be at home during the summer, and that's okay. We ask that you let the family know and just communicate with them, but that constant contact, letting them know that you care about them, letting them know that you're interested in the things they have going on in their lives, that's where we see improvement in self-esteem. That's where we see kids who begin to role model from their role model, and that's what we want.
So now you've been doing this for a while. We won't say how
Yeah,
long, but
a
you've been doing
while.
it for a while. So when you look at the successful matches, what are the traditional characteristics of something where you see, man, this is just really a good thing for the student and a good thing for the big?
Right. You know, I have been there 15 years. Well, it'll be 16 years coming up. It's kind of hard to believe, actually. But when I look back, and we have had so many success stories, and it's really cool at this point in my, I guess, career, as you might want to call it, that we have kids who have come through the program. They're grown adults in our community. Some have went away, and they still stay in contact. But the things that always come back is that whether it's the child or it's the volunteer, it's that they have been committed to the program. They have kind of opened themselves up to wanting to be a friend to someone. We have kids who maybe have started with, well, I don't like that. I don't like that, and I always told the volunteers, that's normal. My own kids tell me, I don't like that. And I say, you know, try once and see what happens. And from that, we always found they develop some kind of new interest. And those volunteers who remain interested and willing to do that always connected with the kid. And what they found is that they really got more out of the program than probably the kid is. They learned from them to be open, listen, you know, set goals with that child. And they might be small goals. They might not be, hey, let's be on the dean's list or the honor roll, or it may be, hey, let's go to school for 3 weeks straight. Hey, let's get all C's. Hey, let's do whatever it might be. But together, they were able to reach those goals. And I think that's what we see in very successful matches, is each party being open, communication, and wanting to be a part of each other's lives.
And of course, another question that I'm sure you answer a lot is, what's the screening process? Because obviously, if I'm a parent, I don't want to have any problems with the person that's assigned to be the big. So can you kind of talk a little bit about, and I know it's extensive.
It is.
The background check that
Sure,
volunteers
and
go through.
you know, that's one of our #1 things, is being safe, and on both sides, not just for a volunteer, but also for the family, and to keep the volunteers safe. But we do extensive background check on our volunteers, and Warrensburg's a great community. Johnson County is a great community, but we're very transient, so we have a lot of people coming in and out. And so very early on, we wanted to make sure that we check people from all over. So no matter if you moved here yesterday or been here all your life, we're able to kind of trace your background. So we do a background check, and it hits various points. It's quite in depth. We ask, and it always, from the beginning, kind of amazed me, we would ask for personal references. When I first started working here, I thought, is that a joke? Really? I mean, who's not going to pick somebody they like? But the most important thing is that people take that serious. And so they will tell you up front, no, I don't think that should be a volunteer, or, you know, maybe that person's not quite mature enough to do that. And so that's a really key component for us, is talking one-on-one with those people in that volunteer's life. We also will do one with their employer. We will do a home visit with them. Before the home visit, we will have asked them about 14 to 15 pages worth of questions, and they are very personal questions. And the reason that we do that is, and I always tell our volunteers, you have to think, I'm asking a parent to let you take their child. So they have to be comfortable. They have to know what's in your background, know what we know about you. The questions are wrote in such a way that we really get them kind of writing, and some people write a lot of stuff, and that's what it's supposed to do. At the home visits, it's an opportunity for us to ask a lot of questions, find out more detailed information. If we were to ever not feel comfortable in their home, we would certainly never put a child there. And that's all it takes. If there's any uncomfort from our case manager anywhere along the point, we're not going to let you be a volunteer. And at the point that you've been screened by our staff, and we feel that you're a good volunteer, then we'll accept you into the program. For our children, it's a little bit different. We get a school report from the school, because children act different at home than they do at school, of course. And so it's good to find out both of those things. If the child is in counseling or some other kind of services, we'll try to get a report from there to just to get their background on that. But then we'll come and do a home visit with the child and with the guardian. And then that way we can kind of find out what they like. And I kind of chuckled there, because I am thinking back to all these parents saying, well, he really likes basketball. basketball, and the kid's saying, I really don't like basketball at all. So it's
that would
never,
be me too with my own kids, I know.
It's never always the same. So we do check in with both of those. And then we ask the parent, what are you looking for in a volunteer? Because it's not a process of, well, you're the next volunteer and you're the next kid, let's match you together. It's really a process of finding people who can connect. And so because of that, I mean, that's the important key component of what makes our program as strong as it is. And so, I mean, we ask everything from, what you want to do with your volunteer to, what color of skin would you like for your volunteer? Because for kids, that's important. Not every kid has had the opportunity to be in diverse situations. And so we don't want to make them uncomfortable, yet we want them to experience a lot of things in life. So we ask them a lot of different things that will allow for a successful match.
And what the process as you're going through all this, I mean, obviously there are a lot of steps and there's a lot of information. How long does that typically take? I imagine it takes a little while.
It takes a little bit, but I'll have to hand it to her. Tanisha does a great job. She works with our volunteers and our kids, and it moves rather quickly. For a volunteer, I mean, we can get your paperwork done pretty quickly, and within a couple of weeks, we can have you matched up. Our background checks, thanks to technology, are pretty much within about 48 hours. Because of calling people and everybody carrying a cell phone, we can usually get, and especially if they've let them know that we're going to be calling for a reference check. Home visits are what takes the longest, people finding time in their schedule. But usually within a couple of weeks, we can match people up with a child. Now on the child side, how long they wait for a volunteer is an unknown. It really comes down to what is the volunteer or the parent looking for in a volunteer, and what kind of situation is the child in. If they have special needs or they have a special situation, they may require a little bit longer. If they live extremely way out in the county, it might take a little bit longer to have a volunteer to drive out there. But for the most part, we try to match them as quickly as possible.
So, you have the match finally.
Right.
What kind of things do you tell a new volunteer before they meet the child for the first time? Kind of what's the expectation?
Right, and the expectation is that you are going to make a commitment to see the child once a week. Do it for a year, remain committed to doing that and really be open with us. We're going to contact you once a month. And more often if you need it. We're always there if you have a question, if you have concerns. But we're going to make sure that the match is going good. And we're going to ask a lot of safety questions when we call you. We're going to find out what kind of activities you've been doing. We're going to tell volunteers that don't focus on spending money on the child, but focus on spending time. So you can go to the park, or you can play board games, you can make cookies. We do get tickets from different people here in town. J.W. Franklin's wonderful, giving us UCM tickets all the time, so kids can always go to the game, which is kind of cool because some of them have never been. Some of them go to the Royals for the first time, and we're able to provide that for them. And so there are certain opportunities that come up, and that way a volunteer doesn't have to pay for that. And so, but don't focus on how much money can you spend on a kid, but focus on coming up with something creative to do with them.
I know for myself, and we've talked about this. I mean, I spent 8 years as a big with one child.
Sure.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I still, thank God for Facebook, right? I still talk to him all the time and see how he's doing. So, and it was interesting for me. The timing just sort of worked out. I started in college, and by the time I started having my own kids, he was old enough that he was not really looking to hang around with me anymore.
Sure.
But it was, the experience is really a much better experience than I think probably people realize.
Sure. I think some people are scared. That they can't, fill that need that the child wants. That they can't be there. Well, you're not really stepping in as the parent. You're not being, you're not taking care of them. You're not, going to do. You're being a friend.
It was interesting because he's an artist today.
Oh, neat.
And it's interesting because I thought, well, do I have to teach him? I'm not a fisher, I'm not an outdoorsman. And I thought, well, is that what I'm supposed to do? Because I'm the guy and I'm supposed to do that. And fortunately, after we met the first couple of times, it was clear to me he doesn't have any interest in that. He'd rather go draw.
Sure.
So there are a lot of things I think that maybe are misconceptions that people have this idea of what it what it's supposed to be like with big brothers and sisters, but it's not. Usually, in my experience, it's not at all what people think it is.
Right, right.
So I know one of the issues always for any Big Brothers Big Sisters organization is funding.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about how that works here in Johnson County and where folks can help you.
Sure. We are a satellite of Kansas City. I know everybody kind of wonders why on our blue bins it always says Kansas City, but we're a satellite of the Kansas City program. And so we, thanks to them, can be, Big Brothers Big Sisters. And we don't serve a community size big enough to be our own affiliate from the national program, and that's why we are a satellite. And so, but when it comes to funding, we're totally separate. We have our ongoing clothing donation program, which a lot of people are probably familiar with. They may not even know we have an office there, but they know where the blue bins are. And so near our office in Shepherd Park, we have the 4 bins, and then we have our building that's outside, and people donate clothing and household items. And that program is just growing and growing and growing, which is fantastic for us because it's not asking for dollars from your pocket, but clean out your house a little bit, bring it over to us. That program last year, we were able to bring in right at $29,000 for our program. So that was pretty substantial amount of income for us. And we're hoping that we can even increase that, this year to keep doing that and serve more of the population. But basically, bag up your stuff, drop it in there 24/7, it's always there. We do keep some of the stuff that's out there for some of our families. Last night we had one of our families, he's no longer matched as a little brother in our program, but he was a little brother from, oh my gosh, from about 1st grade through when he graduated out of high school. They've been involved with our program, and they had a house fire, and so we're helping and collecting things for them. And so we will, help out families when we need to and when we can. We also use some items in some of our events. So some people bring things in, we can use them in the auction, but a lot of them go to actual dollars that we can use in that. We also have a lot of events. We're big into events. We enjoy them. We're getting ready for trivia. We have entertainment trivia coming up next Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of amazing. Over the years, we've done trivia, and people always seem to enjoy it. It gets a little bit competitive. We have a few teams who think they know everything, and they like to tell me if I don't get it just right. Writing questions for trivia is quite tricky, but we're doing that on the 23rd. And then coming up in February, we'll have a sports trivia. And those guys, we have a few ladies, but mostly guys, and they are super competitive. So that's a lot of fun. Entertainment trivia will be at Players. Sports trivia will be down at the Granary. And that'll be our first 2 events of the year. But we're getting excited for them coming up. And so.
Now, I know there's another big event, the bowling.
Bowling's large for us. We have Bowl for Kids' Sake, which is held here on campus in the bowling alley. We just set the dates, which will be the last 2 Thursdays of July. Last year we were in October, which was not our normal months because they were upgrading the bowling alley. But we are glad to be back in July this year. And so we're actually going with an All-Stars theme this year because we got so many All-Stars in Missouri. But we're excited about that. And that's a great event for groups to get involved in as well as individuals. And so basically the way it works is that you can have a team bowl, and it can have up to 6 people on your team, and you will ask people to give a donation to you. And then we come together for a glow bowl, and we have pizza. Mazio's helps us out with that, and Sodexo helps us out with drinks, and we really just kind of have a big bowling party there. Now that's a big fundraiser for us. We normally raise somewhere around $27,000, $28,000 for our program, so it's a huge part of what we do in our funding area. But last year we had a little guy who, he was maybe 3. He was I should order him his own shirt this year because he kind of looked like he had a dress on, but he was very, very cute to grandmas and grandpas there bowling. So we have lots of teams, and we have businesses who come, and they kind of do it as an office building, positive reinforcement thing for their group. And so we certainly appreciate all of them coming out to do that. And it's funny because people will say, I bowl once a year and this is it.
Yeah, that was my case.
So it's fun. It's fun to come out and to do that. So we're looking forward to, we'll have our website up for that here in the next couple of months, and people can sign up online. And that's the best part about it, is you can fundraise literally from your computer for that one. Email out to your friends to sponsor you online. They can donate to you that way, and you actually don't have to ask anybody.
Which everybody always likes,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Do
right.
it that way.
That's right.
So as you look in the next few years, what kind of things would you like to be able to accomplish with Big Brothers and Big Sisters? Is there some master plan here for some new things you'd like to do?
You know, what we really focused on the last several years was not as much, you know, we always talk numbers. How many matches do you have? And it's hard to understand how you may remain consistent with your number of matches, and you're making more matches, but you still have the same number, and it's because you're closing some too. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a negative thing.
Right.
It's because we're very transient here. We have a lot of people moving in and a lot of people moving out. But one of the things that we have focused on is quality of match. And so what we've looked at is not how many kids can we have in the program, but the kids that are in the program, we want to serve them with quality matches. So we've looked at lengthening those matches. One of the things that we added a couple of years back was called Big Teammates. And the idea behind that was, if you have a child who's going to be in a match that's ending, if we can match them with another volunteer, then they won't have that lapse in time before they get someone else. So they kind of, for a period, have 2 volunteers, and it helps with that. Mm-hmm. And that's helped with that. And then it's also helped with student volunteers who can't commit to 4 weeks, but they can commit to 2. So we match them up with 2 people, and then they can kind of tag team as a volunteer. And so that's one thing that we added that's been successful, and I like to see that program grow. Another thing that we would like to look at doing, and Kansas City does, is they have a program called ACES. And the idea behind that is taking high school kids who are on the fast track to going on to the university level, and they pair them with a volunteer in the community that kind of mentors them to make sure they make it and succeed in their area. And I would like to see us set something like that up here. As you probably know, I run a program called Climb High, which is with high school sophomores. And so as we've been working on this more and more, it seems like a perfect fit. We have this year a large class of 21, but the idea would be is if I could match those 21 students with a volunteer that would mentor them for the next 2 years as they get ready for their career. So whatever it might be, whether they're going to a tech school or into a university, then this volunteer would help them with that process. So they could help them with grants. They could help them with tuition, scholarship, not by paying, but helping them figure out how to do that. So we're already seeking out these kids. So I would love to see us put that program in the hands of matching them up. And so that's my goal, is to make that happen in the next year or so, and work that out, that I can find, because it would be less time than our regular matches, because it's really just mentoring them to make sure they succeed in what their goal is. But that's one of the things that we would like to see happen, is kind of outreach into some of these other areas, because you are reaching some kids who would benefit, but not in our traditional sense.
Now, we only have a couple minutes left in the program. Let's if folks are watching and they're interested in becoming a Big, how do they do that?
Sure, easy. They can contact us. We have a phone number. It's 660-429-1991. We are located in Shepherd Park, which is right near Mazzio's. And we're kind of hit or miss there. It's a little cream-colored building because there's just the 2 of us, Tanisha and myself. We have a website, which I think you have up, and people can contact that. You can actually go on and submit an inquiry, and we'll contact you that way. We're really easy to find, and so maybe it's just stopping in to see if this is the right program for you. You're welcome to come to one of our fundraisers, of course, and then we can get you hooked up there and tell you all about the program. If you are a child, or if you're a parent and you want to get your child enrolled, you can always contact the school and they can get a hold of us.
Great. And the next fundraiser is
this
next
coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coming up on Saturday, the 23rd.
That's right.
And so trivia and
we're going to have a fantastic host.
Who's the host going to be?
this guy.
Oh yeah, there you go. So I will not mediate disputes though. I'm leaving that in your hands since it's so competitive.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm going to let you do that.
I can do that.
So join us. That's coming up Saturday the 23rd, and that'll be at Players for trivia. I'm looking forward to it, Stormy, and looking forward to hiding behind you when there's a dispute.
I got it.
Okay, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you for watching us here on Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and make sure you tune in each and every Thursday for the latest of what's going on in your community, and that'll happen right here on Pause. You can also watch us online. If you go to youtube.com, you're familiar with the YouTube, right? You can watch all of the episodes of Pause. So if you missed one or you were out on vacation or something, you can catch us right there. All you have to do is search for KMOS-TV, and you'll find all of the Pause episodes right there. We hope you'll enjoy it, that online, and we hope you'll continue to watch us here on the air on Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman. Thanks for joining us.